Good morning, students. I, Dr. Sanjana Sharma, welcome you to the class of paper first. Students, today we are going to know about famous romantic British poet John Keats. Students, Keats was born on October 31 in the year 1795. He was the eldest of 5 children of a stable keeper. He went to school at Enfield and found a friend in Charles Cowden Clark, who was a son of the schoolmaster over there. He was remembered by his fellows for generosity, pungency, and a passion for reading. Students, Keats lost his father by a riding accident in the year 1804 and his mother died in the year 1810. In the year 1811, John Keats became an apprentice to a surgeon at Edmonton. During 1815-17, he continued his studies at London Hospital, but his heart was not in medicine and he felt that he was born to be a poet. Finally, students, Keats abandoned surgery for literature. Under the influence of Leigh Hunt and with the help of Clark, Keats now settled down to a literary life. Through the kindness of Hunt, several sonnets by Keats appeared in the Examiner. But his collection, entitled Poems, published in the year 1870, with all its immaturities, included the well-known sonnet on the first looking into Chapman's Homer. It didn't attract much attention. Students, the wretched circumstances of Keats's life make pathetic reading. Exposure during a walking tour in Scotland and the strain of nursing his brother Tom, who died in the December 1818, brought about a breakdown in his health. He felt very depressed and downcast. To aggravate his misery, he fell passionately in love with a girl, Fanny Brown, who did not respond to his love. The bitterness of this disappointment weighed heavily upon his already drooping spirits and broken health. According to some biographers, he had agreed to marry him, but he couldn't marry her on account of his poverty and growing illness. Keats published only one more volume after that, and it was Hyperion and Other Poems, that was published in the year 1820. This volume contains his great contributions to literature, such as Hyperion, The Eve of St. Agnes, and the odes like Ode to Autumn, To a Nightingale, On Melancholy, and On Grecian Urn, and the ballad La Ballade d'Ame Sans Mercy. Students, Keats had seen a premature death because he had always felt threatened by consumption, which ran in the family and which had already carried off his brother Tom. His fear of death finds expression in his sonnet, When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be, and in some other poems as well. He was now definitely known to be suffering from consumption. As a last hope, in September 1820, accompanied by his friend Joseph Severin, he left England for Italy. At Lulworth, he wrote his last sonnet, Bright Star, Would I were steadfast thou art. Students, Keats died in Rome on February 23, 1821, and was buried in the old Protestant cemetery near the Pyramid of Caius Setius. Students, let us come to know about Keats's principal poetic works. Some of his best known poems are Imitation of Spenser, On Death, To Hope, I Stood Tip-Top, On First Looking into Chapman's Homer, Sleep and Poetry. Students, Endymion, a poetic romance, was published in the year 1818. The main idea here is the quest for ideal beauty, how the poet longs for full communion with the essential spirit of beauty, and how through the exercise of active human sympathies he achieves his quest. Students, Lamia, Isabel, on the Eve of St. Agnes, and Isabel, it's a tragic poem. Hyperion is a fragment in blank verse. The Eve of St. Agnes, it's a highly colored and romantic love poetry. About Ode to Psyche, T.S. Eliot thinks it is Keats' best ode. Ode on a Grecian urn contrasts the permanence of art with the transitoriness of human life and is famous for its line Beauty is truth, truth beauty. Students, Ode to Melancholy deals with the nature of true melancholy. And Ode to a Nightingale, this is in part a song of death, in part a song of despair. It contains a premonition of his premature death. Lamia is one of his narrative poems in heroic couplets. It is the story of a serpent woman who loves a young Corinthian. To Autumn is a perfect description of autumn, its beauty, its occupations, and its sound treated most objectively. La Ballade d'Âme sans Merci is a medieval ballad that has become famous. Keats wrote quite a number of successful sonnets. Among these is When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be, which is a prophecy of his early death in Shakespearean form. The Eve of St. Mark is an incomplete medieval poem. The Fall of Hyperion, a dream. The poet's intention here was to express the ideal of humanitarianism, but the poem is not complete. It gives rise to the thought that if Keats had lived longer, he would have equaled Shakespeare in grandeur of themes as well as works. And Otho, it's a poetic drama. Students, here our discussion about the biography and achievements of John Keats comes to an end. Thank you very much.